All over Southeast Asia, tigers are under attack. Development is destroying their habitat, and gangs of poachers kill them for profit.
Direct poaching of tigers is probably the single greatest threat to tigers across the world.
As their world contracts, tigers turn into man-killers. Human retaliation is brutal. Tiger populations are crashing towards extinction. But in this nature reserve in Sumatra, tiger numbers are increasing. The man behind this unique conservation project is an Indonesian tycoon, Tomy Winata.
Animal right, forest right, conservation right is #1.
Tommy's plans are controversial. He wants to return tigers to the wild, even if they are man-killers. There are villages close to the nature reserve. Are the people under threat? Now Tommy's plans have reached a critical stage. A decision must be made whether or not to release this tiger, Punti, and her cub in front of the world's media. Punti is a suspected man-killer. Will Tommy's experiment help save the Sumatran tiger? Or will Punti and her cub go on the rampage? The Sumatran tiger is among the most endangered species on Earth. Just 400 of these beautiful, savage animals survive in the wild. Tiger numbers are eaten away by the destruction of their habitat and by poachers supplying the market for traditional medicines. But a revolutionary plan to save the Sumatran tiger is underway in the Tumbling Nature Reserve on the southern tip of Sumatra. The project is backed by a maverick Indonesian businessman, Tomy Winata. Tumbling, part of the Bukit Barisan National Park, is one of the most diverse tropical environments in the world. Covering an area almost 3/4 the size of Singapore, the reserve is a laboratory for an audacious experiment to preserve one of Indonesia's most threatened species, the Sumatran tiger. Tomy came here first in 1995.
Nice weather. Kayak air conditioning.
For the last 15 years, Tomy has been building a refuge for the Sumatran tiger. He has the backing of the Indonesian government, but his plans are radical and, according to some conservationists, controversial. The first step was to remove the biggest threat to tigers in the area: humans. When the project started, hundreds of people lived illegally inside the reserve, eking out a living by hunting and farming.
Waktu saya datang saja, saya sudah mengeluarkan orang yang tinggal liar di sini, tidak boleh tinggal. Ini dulu kan bekas kampung, kita kasih keluar. Sudah lebih daripada 5.000 kepala keluarga melakukan illegal staying, illegal logging. Sudah banyak kebun-kebun, tidak ada lagi pohon.
Tomy resettled the villagers, and many were angry about the move.
Dari sekian binaannya tumbling, saya rasa saya sendiri yang paling melawan. Adanya tumbling, kami kan dibatasi berkebun. Peduli betul sama hutan.
But Tomy eventually won over most of the villagers. Through his foundation, Athar Graha, he has built a school and a clinic.
Berlebihan lagi telah pemberian Pak Tomy. Pendidikan, kesehatan, memang dia membantu.
In return, villagers play a part in conservation.
Kita juga ikut membantu. Kita ikut membantu apa programnya. Apabila ada orang istilahnya mau menangkap burung atau berburu begitu. Kalau setahu kita itu ya kita cegah.
But if tiger numbers increase, as Tomy plans, the villagers could pay a deadly price for living so close to tumbling. For now, they seem resigned to the risk.
Kita biasa-biasa aja. Sering kita ke kebun, ke jalan malam pun anak-anak kecil ini boleh kata nggak apa-apa. Insya Allah mudah-mudahan.
The plan to resettle local people has been successful for Sumatra's animals. The numbers of species like these Sumbar deer, close to extinction in neighboring countries, have rocketed. There are big herds, too, of another threatened species, the Asian wild water buffalo.
Baru kelihatan agak baik setelah 7-8 tahun tutup mulai recover slow growth. Sekarang natural growth. Dan binatang pun tidak takut lihat orang karena tidak ada yang shoot, tidak ada yang tembak, tidak ada yang against sama dia. Karena kalau kita sering-sering berburu sama dia, aja lihat orang dia lari.
Development and hunting threaten animals like these all over Southeast Asia. It's rare to see so many in the wild. But they are not here to be admired. They are prey for tigers. The story of the tiger rescue began 8 years ago, far to the north in Aceh province. Sumatra was once known as the Emerald of the Equator. But over the last 50 years, the huge island has lost almost 70% of its rainforest. The pulp and paper industry, palm oil and coffee cultivation gulp up huge tracts of forest. It is a catastrophe for wildlife, and above all, tigers. The loss of their natural habitat forces tigers closer to people. Hungry animals now roam plantations and villages searching for food, with deadly results for both species. When tigers attack, human retaliation is swift and brutal. In Sumatra, more than 250 tigers have been killed and at least 100 captured.
Ada 5 ekor di Aceh, dia merusak kebun masyarakat. Dia membunuh masyarakat punya piaraan binatang, kambing, dan akhirnya pun lama-lama membunuh manusia. Jadi ada berapa harimau itu sampai membunuh 5-6 orang.
Hunters and their dogs rounded up 12 tigers and locked them in cramped cages. One of them was this female, Panti. Conditions were so bad that 7 tigers died. Eventually, the Aceh government contacted Tomy.
Government tanya sama saya, karena dia tahu kita ada tempat ini, dan ada stok makanan banyak deer, banyak water buffalo, banyak segala macam semua. Jadi saya kira mungkin hal yang baik untuk bisa memelihara mereka. Jadi saya welcome them.
Tomy agreed to take in the surviving tigers. Everyone was a suspected man killer. But moving tigers more than 1,500 kilometers to tumbling was no easy task. So the Indonesian army was brought in to assist. When the tigers were delivered, they were kept in a rehabilitation center. Here they can be studied and some prepared for release. These suspected man-killers are known as conflict tigers. Releasing conflict tigers is the most controversial aspect of Tomy's plan. Tumbling, in his view, is not a zoo. The tigers should not be held captive forever.
Kita tidak bikin breeding, kita tidak bikin pemeliharaan menjinakkan. Tapi we send back them to the nature.
Rehabilitation is challenging. And for the people who live in and near the reserve, potentially dangerous. Will the tigers kill again? In the last few years, 5 conflict tigers have been released. One was the female captured in Aceh, Panti. 2 of the group were radio collared to track their movements. If any of the tigers approached the villages, an alarm would be raised. Overseeing the release program was veterinarian Dr. Bongot.
I'm very lucky because I am the part of the release to monitor the tiger before the release and to monitor the tiger after the release. We learn so many things, like we found surprisingly that the tiger swim like 3 kilometers to the sea and go back again. And we learned how many weeks that the tiger found their comfort home range.
After 6 months, the radio collars stopped working, though Panti was occasionally recorded on camera traps. The plan seemed to be working. The tigers stayed away from the villages. No one was attacked. Then came another twist in Panti's story. 13 months after her release, she was spotted close to the rescue center, and she seemed to be in distress.
Dia berkeliaran di sekitar wilayah rescue center, dan pada saat itu kami lihat dia dalam keadaan berjalan tidak normal. Nah, waktu itu kami tangkap, kami masukkan lagi, kami cek, ternyata jari tengah depan sebelah kiri itu ada luka.
And there was another big surprise.
Setelah kami berjalan berapa hari untuk pengobatan lukanya, nah kami perhatikan puting susu itu agak membekak. Apakah dia udah melahirkan di luar atau dia masih dalam keadaan hamil? Belum sempat sembuh lukanya, dia melahirkan 3 ekor.
This was a breakthrough. A conflict tiger released into the wild had mated and delivered cubs. But the fact that Panti had returned to the center raised questions. Had she been ready for release? But now they had a unique chance to observe tiger cubs growing up. The cubs were 3 males. The rangers called them Petir, Topan, and Bintang. Tiger cubs are surprisingly vulnerable. They are born with sealed eyes and ears, and for days have trouble getting on their feet. About half of all tiger cubs born in the wild will die before they reach maturity, and they depend on the mother tiger.
Kami lihat induknya sangat baik mengurus anaknya. Jadi kami sangat yakin bahwa 3 ekor anak ini bakal hidup.
A mother tiger is a formidable force. Her protein-rich milk will quadruple a single cub's weight in its first month. The tumbling staff have to keep honing the tiger's instincts to hunt and kill. An animal pampered in captivity cannot hope to survive in the wild.
Tetap kami berikan pakanan hidup, karena pada waktu itu setelah rencana anaknya jadi dewasa, tetap si induk ini akan dilepasliarkan kembali.
Panti must pass on this skill to her cubs.
3 ekor anak ini memperhatikan cara menangkap dan memakan mangsanya.
The plan worked. In the first year of life, a healthy human baby will gain 25 times its birth weight. Panti's cubs will put on over 100 times their birth weight. As the cubs mature, for Tomy and his staff at tumbling, the question is, can Panti and her cubs be released? In the tumbling nature reserve on the southern tip of Sumatra, a remarkable experiment has begun to save the Sumatran tiger. Conflict or man-killing tigers are being rehabilitated so that they can be released back into the wild. But it's a high-risk plan. Hundreds of people live in villages in or near the reserve. Releasing the tigers could put their lives in danger. Backing the experiment is Indonesian tycoon Tomy Winata. His first move was to resettle people who were living illegally inside the reserve.
Yang dulu banyak ribuan orang, sekarang tinggal ratusan orang. Dulu banyak perburuan binatang-binatang diburu, sekarang sudah tinggal maksimum 10%. Harimau lebih tenang hidupnya, tidak stres, dan dengan begitu dia bisa beranak pinak lebih baik.
In the world of illegal animal trade, tigers have immense value. And to protect the ones at tumbling, Tomy has recruited a team of armed rangers. Pantera, an international NGO based in the United States and focused on the conservation of wild cats, assists with their training. Biologist Dr. Robert Pickles visits tumbling to hone the rangers' skills.
I've got to know them personally. I've been out in the woods with them, and it's been great because I can understand how difficult their job is. You know, it's pretty brutal in the forests. You have to cross raging torrents. You have to sleep in muddy cesspits. There are leeches everywhere. You know, they're doing a hard job.
Most of these men are local. One is a former poacher. Sukamto was a hunter, a foot soldier in a massive global business.
Harimau, gajah, dan badak. Tiga itulah yang jadi ancaman saya. Saya telah berburu atau membunuh 6 ekor harimau.
Since he stopped poaching and joined Tomy's team, Sukamto has provided invaluable information about the world of the wildlife poacher. He describes how he and other poachers would spend long periods in the forest until they snared the most valuable prize.
Kita punya target. Sekali kita masuk, kita belum berhasil, kita belum keluar.
Poachers have different methods to get their prey. Many use homemade guns and are expert constructors of traps. Poachers attach snares to trees in areas known to be tiger territory. A trigger mechanism is buried in the ground nearby, disguised with branches and shrubs. These snares are lethal. As a tiger patrols his territory, it will step unaware on the hidden trigger and the trap will be sprung shut, often snapping around the paw. For the animal, the consequences are extreme pain and ultimately death. This footage taken in northern Sumatra shows what happens when a tiger is ensnared. This animal was trapped for days. Her suffering was severe.
Waktu saya menjadi pemburu, saya itu tidak punya segan, nggak punya kasihan. Semua binatang tetap kita bunuh. Kalau kita masuk hutan, jerat itu dapat harimau, ya yang jelas kita langsung bunuh aja pakai locok itu tadi. Kita ambil isi dalamnya, sambil dagingnya, ambil tulangnya, kulit-kulit, kita jual.
Poachers are the lowest tier in a vast and illegal business. It is fueled by Chinese demand for traditional medicine and the desire for trophies.
It's serious organised criminals which are behind all this. It's not poor local farmers. It's, you know, the big boys, and they're starting to send out international teams to all the countries within tiger range, and they're slipping under the radar as oil palm workers, and they're just lacing areas with snares. Direct poaching of tigers is probably the single greatest threat to tigers across the world.
Today, this lucrative trade is driving many animal species to the edge of extinction.
Kalau tidak ada pembeli harimau atau penampung, mungkin kita juga nggak akan menjadi pemburu harimau atau badak atau gajah.
Sukamto was eventually caught himself and jailed for 3 years. When he was released, he was offered the chance to become a ranger, poacher turned gamekeeper.
Kerjaan saya yang dulu, sekarang saya sangat menyesal. Saya punya cita-cita, saya keluar dari LP, dari tahanan, saya ingin melindungi satwa yang pernah saya sakiti.
The ranger teams patrol tumbling for 10-day stretches. These are called smart patrols and are based on a deep knowledge of the jungle and the ways of their enemy, the poacher. Ichok Jolaksito heads the team.
Smart Patrol adalah sistem untuk identifikasi temuan-temuan yang ada di lapangan secara real dan detail. Yang pertama, identifikasi daripada flora dan fauna. Setiap langkah kita, setiap jengkal kita harus ident semuanya, satu. Yang kedua, tidak terlepas dengan identifikasi pelaku tindak kriminal dalam hutan.
This is a vast area of dense jungle, where it is easy for poachers to hide. Tumbling is surrounded by ocean on 3 sides, so the rangers must defend the reserve from both land and water.
Ranger itu konstan, terus-menerus. Tidak pernah ada breaknya. Karena pada saat kita tidak aktivitas patroli di dalam hutan, itu memberikan kesempatan kepada seluruh pelaku tindak kriminal untuk masuk ke dalam hutan. Jadi kami tidak mau. Kami tidak mau hutan kami ini dijamah oleh pelaku-pelaku yang tidak bertanggung jawab.
Today, it doesn't take the rangers long to find a poacher's trap. Each one discovered and destroyed could mean another animal saved.
Tuh kiri kanan awas, hati-hati semuanya. Oke ya, jeratnya aktif ini ya. Oke, tuh aktif nih. Ini biasanya dipakai untuk harimau dan badak ya. Dan kayu ini, yang melintang ini, dia untuk langkahan. Nah, dia langsung kejerat. Seperti itu. Ya, sini sekali. Oke. Nah, ini seperti ini. Pada saat harimau terkena jerat seperti ini, dia pasti akan frontal. Gimana berusaha untuk melepaskan kakinya dari jerat. Nah, semakin frontal, dia akan semakin gigit. Nah, seperti itu. Dia kan bisa dilepas.
The location is recorded, and then the trap is destroyed. But the day isn't over yet. Just moments later, one of the rangers spots the poacher gang enjoying some R&R.
Seandainya kita menemukan pemburu, kita akan lihat semuanya, situasi kondisi apakah kami mampu untuk menangkap. Tapi kalau seandainya pemburu itu banyak, dan kita melihat kekuatan kami ini tidak cukup atau tidak mampu menangkapnya, baru kita akan melakukan koordinasi kepada pusat home base ranger untuk melakukan tindakan bantuan. Titik koordinat 48M.
Backup arrives immediately. Most poachers are armed and dangerous.
Akan kami tangkap, setelah itu kita bawa ke pihak yang berwajib. Pemburu-pemburu yang ada di hutan ini harus dihukum seberat-beratnya. Karena dia sudah mengerusak daripada warisan yang kita nikmati hari ini dan kita terima sampai hari ini. Itu harusnya wajib, harus kita lindungi dan kita amankan. Bukan hanya kami, seluruh warga Indonesia, ini hutan-hutan negara.
The operation is a chilling reminder that tumbling and the rare animals it shelters remain vulnerable to the international poaching trade. Tommy's rangers must be ever vigilant, especially as the hour of release comes closer. At the Tumbling Nature Reserve in Sumatra, the plan to release conflict tigers in the wild reaches a critical stage. This female tiger, known as Punti, is a suspected man-killer. Now she is being prepared to go back to the wild. This will be her second chance. Released once before, Punti returned to the reserve where she gave birth to 3 cubs. Now 3 years old, her cubs may also be set free. But what challenges will these tigers face in the wild?
Tigers are in dire straits at the moment. In more recent years, the problem has intensified because of the demand for tigers for their own being.
Tiger expert Dr. Robert Pickles is in Tumbling to train a team of Indonesian conservationists. Their task will be to determine how many tigers are now roaming the reserve and how well they are doing.
We can see how stable the population is. We can assess the body condition of the animals. We can look at reproductive potential. So are we seeing cubs? Are we seeing lactating females? This is all really important information that will tell us whether or not we're having an effect here, whether we're being successful in our conservation.
Dr. Pickles can only stay at Tumbling for a few days each year. So once the training is complete, the conservation team is on its own. Tigers are fiercely territorial and will attack other tigers that dare trespass in their terrain. So before Panti and her cubs can be released, the team must find out more about the challenges they will face after release. To do this, the team head deep into tiger country to lay out a grid of almost 200 camera traps. It's perilous work, and the conservation team must be accompanied at all times by an armed patrol. Led by Adi Bayu and Maria Edna, the team search for physical evidence that indicates the presence of tigers. A male tiger's home range is extensive and incorporates the territories of a number of breeding females.
Di wilayah Tumbling sendiri ini hampir 7.000 hektarnya dikuasai oleh satu jantan dan 4-5 ekor betina.
Tigers prefer the path of least resistance, so if you want to find them, the best places to look are along mountain ridges, rivers, and trails. And sure enough, the rangers soon find the evidence they are searching for.
Kita bisa ngelihat ini harimau karena ini cakarannya lurus dari atas ke bawah. Dalamnya ini masih baru karena baru digores.
From the length and width of these markings, the conservation team deduced that a female tiger was responsible.
Harimau bikin cakaran untuk menandai wilayahnya. Selain itu dia juga itu untuk mengasah kukunya.
There's more. Tigers often mark trails by spraying urine.
Bau urin. Posisinya doyong. Di sini lokasi yang pas dia buat untuk tandain dia lagi.
The team has no doubt that this is a tiger highway. They can now set up their grid of camera traps.
Kalau ini gimana? Pohon ini sama pohon ini untuk kita jadikan sebagai tempat pemasangan kamera trap.
Jalur yang bersih.
Oke.
Dari yang kanan, ini ke kiri.
The traps are triggered when an animal crosses an infrared beam.
Oke, Mas.
Oke, Kak.
Mission accomplished. But the light is beginning to fade, and tigers usually hunt in the evening. So the team return as fast as they can to base. Over the next few weeks, the rangers download hundreds of pictures from the camera traps, snapshots of the tiger's world.
Coba kita cek. Apa ada dapat sesuatu yang menarik?
Wow, kita dapat video harimau lagi makan.
Rusa.
Ini jarang banget terjadi. Ini pagi, baru dia makan.
A tiger's stripes are like human fingerprints. No two tigers have the same pattern. So each individual can be identified, tracked, and given a number. The images can be used to build a detailed picture of tiger behavior in the reserve. To date, the conservation team has identified 31 different tigers in Tumbling's 50,000 hectares. This density is impressive. It's currently the highest in all of Southeast Asia. But can Tumbling absorb more tigers, like Panti and her cubs?
There's not too many tigers. I would certainly not even say, there's a lot of tigers. If tigers here find that there are no territories, they'll be forced to move elsewhere. We're at the bottom of a long chain of mountains. It's a nice long chunk of habitat, and we know that they can travel long distances.
The camera traps reveal more. In some areas, the tiger shares the same pathways through the jungle with other animals, including humans.
Regarding, the people living either side of Tumbling, we've been to all these communities. There's very, very little carnivore conflict, if any.
Back at the rehabilitation center, Panti and her fast-growing cubs need to be assessed to find out if and when they might be ready to be released. Petir, or Lightning, one of the 3 cubs born in captivity, is now 3 years old and is getting good reports from Rizal, his keeper, the man who knows him best.
Mereka biasanya sehari-hari kami lihat, kami urus, kami apa gitu kan. Petir ini sudah mengejar mangsanya, itu insting berburu dia udah cukup bagus. Juga dia kalau itu di kandang besar, ketika ada orang yang mendekat dia menjauh. Itu. Nah, tapi kalau yang si bintang topan, dia kadang-kadang melihat manusia dia mendekat. Makanya dia tidak layak lepas.
But before Panti and Petir can be released, they need to pass a medical checkup. This is a job for specialist veterinarian Dr. Bongot. He has worked with tigers for more than 8 years. He begins with a cub, Petir. But tigers are not cooperative patients. Rizal and his team squeeze Petir into a small cage so that they can get close enough to administer a powerful sedative. Then they wait. No one wants to risk this ferocious animal suddenly coming round. As soon as the team is confident Petir is completely sedated, he is weighed. Petir comes in at a whopping 122 kilograms. That's more than 100 times his birth weight. The team nervously monitors the tiger's heart rate and breathing. So far, the sedation is holding. Dr. Bongot makes a series of checks as quickly as possible. Blood is taken to test for parasites that often exist in captive tigers. Petir also gets a thorough dental check. Strong, healthy teeth are vital if he is to survive in the wild. For poachers, these giant canines are coveted prizes. Every body part is measured and a microchip inserted under the skin so that Petir can be tracked after he is released.
Okay.
Once all the tests are complete, Petir is given different drugs to wake him up. He is young and strong, and the effect is almost instant. Now it's his mother's turn. Panti is a much bigger challenge for the team. She has had 3 previous sedations, and this time, Dr. Bongot must use a higher dose. The drug takes much longer to work, and Dr. Bongot is becoming concerned that Panti may not be able to cope.
I have to monitor how good is the respiratory, cardiac rhythm every minute.
The vet has good reason to be anxious. Less than 10 minutes into the examination, Panti's breathing begins to weaken.
We found that Panti breathes only 6 times per minute.
The examination is not yet complete, but now the tiger must be brought round, fast.
It's better to stop and take what we have, the data, and to give antidote so Panti can be awake. Awas, narik. Awas. Stay. Go.
Then Dr. Bongot orders everybody to leave the cage. He waits for Panti to come round, and she is taking much longer than normal.
Panti!
At last, Panti shows signs of recovery. She is still unable to move. But minutes later, she displays her fighting spirit again. For Dr. Bongot, Panti's reaction to the sedation raises troubling questions. Will she be strong enough to be re-released back into the wild? At Tumbling Nature Reserve at the tip of southern Sumatra, Tomy Winata's ambitious plan to release 2 tigers, Panti and her cub Petir, into the wild has at last been greenlit by Indonesian government officials after months of waiting. Veterinarian Dr. Bongot had doubts about Panti, who responded badly to sedation, but the results of her blood tests reassure him. She's good to go. Tomy has come to Tumbling to make sure the preparations are going well. The release will be observed by government officials and shown live on Indonesian television.
Saya coba jalan kaki untuk memeriksa lebih detail serta melihat dan menikmati suara burung gini ya, suara monyet alamiah. Ini orang bilang apa? Psikologis terapi.
A lot of thought has gone into where to release the tigers.
Salah satu pertimbangan adalah stok makanan. Bahwa di tempat rilis itu banyak sekali makanan yang bisa membuat tiger survive. Kedua, kita mau itu tempat itu adalah dia punya tingkat hunian harimaunya masih bisa menerima kedatangan harimau baru. Memang tempat ini yang paling memungkinkan dan paling confidence untuk pelepasan secara secure.
The chosen location is this open field. As well as its natural advantages, television cameras will have a perfect view of the moment of release. Tomy checks on the camera hides built for the occasion.
Oke, kuat ya. Siap. Dia kalau buang, kan nggak apa-apa nih ya. Ini kasih daun semua ini ya. Pak. Semua ya.
Tomy has ordered wild pigs to be strapped to trees to entice the tigers out of their cages.
Jadi babi di sini satu, di situ depan itu satu tuh. Yang dua. Ya kan?
Nothing can be left to chance.
Ini putus nih, ha? Ini juga nih dilihat nih ya. Ikat lagi satu ke sini. Siap. Ya. Dobelin deh. Siap. Dengan kesiapan yang baik, 90%, 90% plus akan survive. Tapi whatever kan masih ada 10% plus minus, dia akan get a problem atau ada halangan gitu. Jadi ya seperti kayak kita sebagai seorang ayah melihat anaknya pertama kali mau merantau, khususnya untuk petir. Kalau Panti mungkin lebih bisa gampang survive karena ini dia punya second release.
At the rescue center, Dr. Bongot and his team are preparing to sedate Panti and Petir to attach their GPS collars. This time, the doctor administers a much lower dose. He can't risk another crisis. And the process goes without a hitch.
So the GPS collar that we put to Petir and Panti, we have already made a schedule. The GPS collar will transmit from 7 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then stop, and then 3 o'clock in the afternoon to 4 o'clock, and then stop, and then 11 o'clock in the night to midnight.
This schedule means that the collars will have enough power to transmit data for approximately 4 months until they automatically detach. Releasing both tigers at once has risks for the people who live in and near the reserve. So notices have been put up warning villagers not to walk in the forest alone, to forbid their children to play outside after dark, and to put their farm animals into secured areas at night.
With the last releasing, I feel very happy because there is no proven evidence, there is no report then of conflict. But as there's people here, we often to say and to put signboard to decrease the opportunity to meet the tiger.
5 years ago, when Panti was released the first time, she knew to return to the rescue center after 13 months for refuge. Cats have exceptional homing instincts. Could Panti and Petir be using these skills now? Cables, wires and hooks are all tested to ensure all will go well the next day. On this last night in captivity, the 2 tigers are fed glucose water. They will soon need all the energy they can muster. It's the day of the release, a new dawn for the tigers in Tumbling. On this very special occasion, Indonesia's Environment and Forestry Minister, Dr. Siti Nurbaya, and Maritime and Fisheries Affairs Minister Susi Pujastuti are in attendance. More than 100 reporters and television crews have arrived to record the event live. Tomy is handed the keys to the cages. The ministers will have the honor of giving freedom to Panti and Petir. It's Panti who will be set free first. Because she has been released once before and returned to the reserve, no one is quite certain how she will behave today. There is relief all around when she bounds into the jungle. Now it's her son's turn. Petir has grown into an aggressive young tiger. No one doubts he will embrace his freedom. But Petir springs a surprise. He seems intimidated, even distressed. He's taking his time, checking things out. And then takes refuge under a camera hide.
Ya, saya kira dia memang mungkin terkejut, khawatir, pengen bebas. Udah gitu juga takut juga dia akan ketemu kepada suatu persaingan atau lingkungan yang baru. Setelah dia merasa sudah mulai yakin, baru dia melangkah keluar.
The young tiger spots a wild boar. But even then, Petir behaves unpredictably. After 10 agonizing minutes, Petir finally crosses into the jungle and disappears. Now there is a big question over how he will cope in the wild.
Kita sedih, kita bangga. Tapi kita pikir dia pergi ke tempat yang memang pada sepatutnya dia pergi.
Over the next 4 months, Panti and Petir's movements will be tracked daily with data from their GPS collars. The experiment carried out here in Tumbling may help conservationists to understand the world of the captive-born tiger and what is needed to ensure the animal's future survival.
For all of us, the scientists, all the people who are working in the tiger, is a very new experience. And releasing Petir will change all the theory about is it possible to release a captive-born tiger into the wild. There will be hope for every conflict tiger, for every rescue center, for government itself to raise the populations of Sumatran tiger in the wild.
Tomy Winata has been relentless in his pursuit to provide a safe haven for the Sumatran tiger by eliminating poaching and habitat destruction at Tumbling.
Saya kira konservasi di Tumbling ini akan menjadi satu yang terbaik untuk harimau. Dan kita bisa buktikan sampai sekarang peningkatan harimau yang cukup signifikan. Hari ini kita punya populasi harimau terbanyak di Asia Tenggara di satu lokasi yang 50.000 hektar. Saya kira saya coba bersama dengan dukungan semua mereka agar bisa mempertahankan prestasi ini.
Tiger experts have questioned the strategy of releasing conflict and captive-born tigers into the wild. But now the experiment is underway, and tiger conservationists all over the world will be watching. As tigers in the rest of Sumatra face extinction, will Tumbling become a beacon of hope or the tiger's last refuge?